The moment I walked into that gleaming restaurant with its crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths, I knew something was wrong. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My siblings were already seated at the main table, laughing with wine glasses in hand, while a server gestured toward a corner booth where my nephew was coloring on a paper menu. I was 32 years old, a registered nurse who had just finished a double shift, and my family had seated me at the children's table. The invitation had come 3 days earlier. Fancy dinner at Giovanni's, my sister Rachel texted. The whole family. Saturday at 7. Dress nice. I'd been surprised. Our family gatherings were usually casual affairs at Mom's house, not expensive Italian restaurants downtown. But I'd been working so much lately that I missed them. I missed belonging to something bigger than myself and my tiny apartment. So I'd said yes immediately, traded shifts with a colleague, and bought a new dress I couldn't quite afford. Now, standing in the restaurant's golden light, that dress felt like a costume. My younger brother Marcus was gesturing animatedly at the adult table, probably telling one of his sales stories. My sister Rachel sat beside her husband, her hand resting on a wine glass that probably cost more than my lunch for the week. Mom was at the head of the table, regal in her navy dress, the matriarch surveying her kingdom. And there was an empty chair, right next to her. My chair, I'd thought. Until the server led me past that table to where 6-year-old Ethan was drawing dinosaurs. Aunt Jenny. Ethan's face lit up, and despite everything, my heart softened. Look, I made a T-Rex. I slid into the booth, my jaw tight, watching my family over his head. They hadn't even turned around. Rachel was laughing at something Marcus said. Mom was studying the menu like it held the secrets of the universe. They'd orchestrated this, planned it. Decided collectively that I belonged here, separate, dismissed. The server appeared, young and apologetic. Can I get you started with something to drink? Water's fine, I managed, though my throat felt thick. Ethan tugged my sleeve. Are you sad? You look sad. Kids see everything adults pretend to ignore. Just tired, buddy. Long week at work. Mom says you're always at work. He returned to his drawing, matter of fact. She says that's why you couldn't come to my birthday. The guilt hit fresh, though I'd sent a present and called him. I'd been working a code blue that day, a patient who didn't make it despite everything we tried. I'd gone home and cried in the shower. But to my family, I'd just missed another event. Added another tally to my growing list of absences. Dinner arrived. Chicken fingers for Ethan, a modest pasta dish for me. At the main table, they were toasting with champagne. I watched Rachel stand, her glass raised, and my stomach dropped. An announcement. That's what this was. That's why they dressed up, why we were here. I wanted you all here, Rachel began, her voice carrying across the restaurant, to share some incredible news. David and I were pregnant. The table erupted. Mom was crying, hugging Rachel. Marcus was shaking David's hand. I sat frozen in my booth, clapping mechanically, a spectator to my own family's joy. Ethan looked up at me. Why aren't you going over there? Why wasn't I? Because they hadn't invited me to. Because somehow, without anyone saying it explicitly, I'd been excluded from the inner circle. The real family. The ones who showed up, who had normal jobs with normal hours, who didn't smell like hospital disinfectant and exhaustion. I excused myself to the bathroom, locking the stall door before the tears came. Hot, angry tears that I wiped away viciously. I'd delivered babies into this world just yesterday. I'd held a grandmother's hand as she took her last breath. I mattered. My work mattered. So why did I feel so small? When I returned, there was someone new at the children's table. An elderly woman in an elegant purple dress, her silver hair swept up, was showing Ethan how to fold his napkin into a swan. I hope you don't mind, she said, her eyes kind and knowing. I'm Evelyn. I saw you sitting alone and thought I'd introduce myself. I'm here with my grandson, he's at that table there. She nodded toward a distant corner. But between you and me, the adult conversation was dreadfully boring. Something about her presence steadied me. Jenny, I introduced myself. And this is Ethan. We talked while my family celebrated without us. Evelyn had been a teacher for 40 years. She'd raised 3 children alone after her husband died young. People don't see the sacrifices until they need you, she said quietly, as if reading my mind. Your family, they're celebrating over there. But you, dear, you have that look. The one that says you've been carrying others all day. I'm a nurse, I admitted. Ah. Her smile was gentle. Then you know what it means to give everything, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. When the check came, I watched my brother pull out his credit card for the main table's bill. No one looked our way. No one offered to cover the children's table. I paid for Ethan's meal and mine without comment, though it meant instant ramen for the next week. As we prepared to leave, Mom finally approached. There you are, Jenny. We missed you over there. The irony nearly choked me. Did you? Something flickered in her eyes, guilt, maybe, or recognition. Rachel wanted all of us together tonight. All of us were together, Mom. You just put me in a different category. The words came out steady, calm. I've been working 16-hour shifts, saving lives, coming home too tired to think. And tonight, you sat me at the kids' table like I don't matter. Like I'm not a real adult. Like my time and presence aren't valuable. Mom's face crumpled slightly. Jenny, that's not, we thought you'd be more comfortable. Comfortable away from my own family. I pulled on my coat. I love you all. I love Rachel, and I'm happy for her. But I can't do this anymore. I can't shrink myself to fit whatever version of me is easiest for you to deal with. I hugged Ethan goodbye, thanked Evelyn for her kindness, and walked out into the cool night air. My phone buzzed before I reached my car. Rachel. Then Marcus. Then Mom. I didn't answer. At home, I found a note slipped into my coat pocket. Evelyn's handwriting. The people who see your worth are the ones who matter. The rest will catch up when they need you. Stand tall. 3 days later, Mom showed up at my apartment with flowers. We talked for hours, really talked, maybe for the first time in years. She admitted they'd been thoughtless, that they'd taken my absence as indifference rather than exhaustion. That they'd forgotten what it meant to choose a calling that consumed you. Things changed slowly. Rachel apologized. Marcus started asking about my work instead of just talking about his. They made space for me at the table, the real table. But more importantly, I made space for myself. I learned that showing up means nothing if you're invisible when you arrive. That family should be where you're celebrated, not tolerated. That sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Because the people who truly love you will listen. And the ones who don't aren't worth shrinking for.